and in 2016 the total strength of social media had crossed barely 1 billion, and at that time India's population at that time was considered to be 1.29, and at that time China's population was considered to be 1.4. So it just crossed 1 billion. So the data and the facts and insights which he wrote was associated with that. All right. Like Balochis are a nation in Pakistan, not a nation state. They wanted separate identification. In India, you can see that with Manipur or with Nagaland, or sometimes you can find it in Kashmir, or you can see the Khalistan movement or the Dravid Nadu movement. All these are nations, but not nation state. They aspire to become a nation state. Okay. So that's something which you need to understand, the difference between nation and nation state. So explanations were like, this is how the explanation was given, and this is what it implied. All right. So it means we can make our own story. Yes, you can create your own, we can say, anecdotes. The only thing is, again, with respect to anecdotes, it should be relevant. Okay. Relevant, short, impactful. That's it. When you are speaking of it, relevant, it should be connected to the topic, it should be short, and it should be impactful. If these three qualities are maintained, then anecdotes deliver the profound message. They land well, they create a definite impact associated with what needs to be communicated. Formed on the basis of combination of shared features such as language, history, ethnicity, culture, and territory. Yes, Neetu, definitely, right? So I didn't understand the formation of nation a decade ago. Oh, the formation of this nation a decade ago, he just played with the words. Okay, he played with the words. That the social media, he was writing in 2016. Please understand that. So in 2015-16, social media was not so popular. I mean, I was using, because your generation cannot connect with this idea, I was using Hotmail and Gmail and USA Net in 2002, 2003. There was only the presence of sending an email. Orkut, etc., came into existence 2006 or so. 2007 in India, students started using it. Okay, then Facebook came in 2009. So please understand that when we are talking about social media, the presence of it globally connecting the youth together was actually barely a decade old. All right. So I hope, Santosh, you are understanding it. So formation of it was just a decade ago. That's what he implied to say. Now, anyway, so it was written in Hindi, and when I read it, I was like, good, that's great. Anyway, quotations also, with respect to it, please remember, quotations can be simplistic and interesting. Because I was discussing this Hindi example, there was this student, she was not my student, she was my cousin's student. She was All India third rank, Kiran Kaushal. So she had written a very profound quotation. The topic, it was a popular quotation known to everyone. Okay, but the way she communicated it was very profound. So the topic was impact of globalization on vulnerable sections of the society. On this topic, she had written a lot of segments. I'll just share the last half where she is using the quotation. So in between the content, she was writing that in the process of globalization, consumerism and materialism unfolds, uh, uh, as quoted by Shiv Khera, that in the rat race, let us never forget that the winner is always a rat. Hence, let us not lose our identity in the process of participating in the rat race of globalization. Okay, so when she quoted Shiv Khera, that in the anomaly, the tragedy, okay, so the anomaly of, matlab, इसको हिंदी में अगर बोले, because she had written in Hindi, she had written that वैश्वीकरण में चूहों की दौड़ जैसी स्थिति हो जाती है, और चूहों की दौड़ की सबसे बड़ी विडंबना है कि जीतने वाला भी चूहा होता है. Okay, so the anomaly of a rat race is that the winner is also a rat, under quotes this sentence. Very simple sentence, but when you read it, you can visualize, and it has a profound impact, because you can have that little smirk or a smile on your face that, oh yeah, that's so very true. Okay, anyway, then she kept continuing. She opened a lot of segments, and then she wrote that the question arises that in the process of making the reaping the benefits of globalization, will all segments of society be incorporated? Will we be able to take care of the rural areas as much as urban development? Will the idea of development be realized by all at all times, whereby everyone is a competent participant in the mode of development? After raising all these statements, towards the end, she wrote, if we are able to realize this possibility whereby every Indian citizen becomes a player, a formidable player uh, in making the benefit out of globalization and contributing to self development as well as national development, comma, we shall be able to say so with due pride. We shall be able to say so with due pride. Okay. As and then she quotes Iqbal, putting a dash, she writes down, सारे जहां से अच्छा हिंदुस्तां हमारा, हम बुलबुलें हैं इसके, ये गुलसिता हमारा. Okay. So she quoted Iqbal, and that landed so well, because the day we all will be able to reach the coveted goal of development, every human being is able to realize his or her potential. Every human being is able to meet his or her potential life chances and contribute to self development as well as national development. We shall be able to say so with due pride. Sare jahan se acha Hindustan hamara. Just see the flow. Right. So quotations, when written in a flow with a logical corollary, they land well. Okay. So Sare Jahan Se Acha Hindustan Hamara, everyone knows. But the way she connected it, it really landed well. It had a very magnanimous impact in terms of how it was communicated. Quotations can be self-created. For that, I have created this possibility. You all can see this. Wait. Not this, not this. Yeah, Srushti Deshmukh. You can see this. Okay. So this one. When we are speaking of this, Srushti Deshmukh, you can see this quotation which she has used. She has created it herself. This is a self-written poetry. So child labor, the topic was child labor, a necessary evil or just plain evil. And she writes, working with tools and teacups, the little hands move every day. For need and for survival, they are ready to walk every day. Some have an ailing sister, while some have a mother. To get home a penny, they get beaten by the other. Under quotes, full stop. Then she is writing a question. Do these kids know they are losing their childhood? Okay. So all of you can see this specific quotation, right? If English students write the Sare Jahan Se Acha, yes, you can write Sare Jahan Se Acha in English, but do provide the translation in bracket. Okay. And for that, you need a definite segment of understanding, right? So, ma'am, please provide the current PPT. How can I provide the current PPT? Kirutiga, did you join the session late? Because this question coming after an hour and a half of session really leaves me like zapped. So, as you said, I saw an essay, The Destiny of a Nation Shaped in Its Classrooms. The introduction starts with explaining North Korea and South Korea historical educational background and how South Korea's destiny changed via good classroom values. Yes, yes, yes. That also can be created, Sachin, right? I think Kirutiga, the link has been provided, you can use it. Should I quote in any language can be used as quotation, but translation is a must. That's what I have said, Rashmi. So I won't repeat myself. You can see this. So space for creating your own quotations is also there, right? In conclusion, also she had written this. You can see this. Srushti wrote this conclusion. Their time is for playing and making merry in the woods. Let us join hands to reclaim their golden childhood. Okay, so she's trying to write a quotation by herself, trying to write a self like a created poetry, as all of you can reflect upon it. Okay, now, so with respect to this, just a second. So, with respect to this, when we are discussing about the types of introduction, I hope all of you have gained a clarity regarding definition, quotation, anecdote, right? Then comes the component of, okay, this one is very short. So let me explain this seventh one. Few of you were confused. Generalized overview to a specific discussion. What is it? This is the pattern of NCERT. We can say the pattern or writing style or pattern of NCERT. chapters, or you can also say guest articles, or article, rather I should write editorial. Okay, so guest editorials in newspapers. What's the mode? What does it imply? So generalized overview, in the first para you are giving an overview of the topic, that what are you going to discuss, what segments you are going to discuss. Okay, so you are giving, like, so for example, education as it should be. So suppose someone is starting that with let's say definition or quotation of education, and then the person is writing that the process of education needs to be understood from the tools, the methods, the techniques, the players, the challenges, and the solutions needed for it. It is then only that we can have a formidable understanding about the purpose of education and the impact of it at grassroots level for all. Full stop. Then changing the para, we can expect the person will be talking about the tools, the methods, the, like, the players means who are the human resource related to education, the challenges, like different paras will be devoted for these different segments. So one para will be discussing about challenges, some para will be discussing about suggestions. We can expect that. So this is generalized overview. When you present an overview of what you are going to discuss in the future paras, and then you are taking up specific discussion para after para. I hope everyone is understanding the 7th point, right? Is it clear? Yes, is it clear? Fine. So generalized overview to specific discussion. Great. As it is getting clear, then we can also understand the component of historical, startling, all these segments. But let's take a break. So we have covered 4 segments, 4 are left. We'll take a break. I'll be able to complete this for sure today. Types of conclusion is barely a 10 minutes discussion. The moment you understand types of introduction, conclusion falls in line. Okay, so you'll be able to complete this area today, hopefully. So let us meet after a break. Let's take a break. I'm just putting the segment of break. So it is 6:43, and let's take a 15 minutes break. Or rather 6:44. Okay, fine. So I'll explain again after the break, Shivam. Okay, or should I explain it again? No, after the break. Just be in time. Don't join the session late. Raise the question again. I'll repeat myself. We also discussed about generalized overview to specific other. So generalized overview to specific other, when we are talking about it. So Shivam, are you there? Just approve so that the question that you asked is like well addressed. You're able to connect. Yeah. So we were discussing about this generalized overview to specific discussion. That is like you provide an overview. I gave you an example also associated with it. That suppose the topic is education, and then when you are writing something like this, that suppose a quotation, an anecdote, whatever you started with, and then after that you start writing that with respect to this given dimension, that education henceforth needs to be understood with respect to its tools, it's the basic infrastructure needed, the manpower required, the various other challenges and logistic issues at ground level, the dynamics of uh, different regions, as well as the interventions made by the government. So the moment you write this and then you are like changing the para, it is expected that you will be elaborating upon these segments. Okay, and after elaborating upon each segment, like in one para you're writing about the challenges, in one para you're writing about like interventions, in one para prior to all the challenges and interventions, suppose you're writing the tools, you're talking about the infrastructure, you're talking about the human power which is like associated with education. All right, so I hope all of you are able to understand that. Okay, Shivam, is it clear now? right? So you are just presenting an overview. An overview what has to be like created in the forecoming paras. This is the style that is also followed by NCRT chapters, and this is also a style which is sometimes followed by guest editorial articles. They give an overview of the segments they are going to discuss in the forecoming paras, and then they keep elaborating or substantiating upon the same. Fine. Now, as we are going to substantiate it further ahead. So I hope that's clear. Yeah. Yes. So with respect to this, as we are heading to other segments, so historical facts, what do we imply by the word historical facts? So in historical background, you can like connect with some incident from history, some like situation from history, and you can provide that as an example for the topic that you are discussing. Okay. So in historical background, you can create, I would say, segments, or you can create insights pertaining to what is unfolding in the history, and then you can elaborate upon it accordingly. So for example, in historical background, suppose a person is like talking about, there is a topic related to tolerance or secularism or syncretism, and in that a person starts with, like, let's say, Ashoka after the like Kalinga war, when he embraced Buddhism, and how the idea of non-violence impacted him, how profoundly it affected his thought and his choices, and how that is something which gets expressed in, we can see, his we can say, in his messages, the rock edicts, the pillars, the message that he tried to send to other parts of the world with his daughter and with his son, right? So you can think of this given possibility associated with the dimension of historical background. Again, you can think of this like Sulahe Kul, Sarvadharm Sambhava. So Sarvadharm Sambhava coming from ancient India. You can think of the component of Sulahe Kul, or we can consider when like Akbar started this Sulh Kul, or when he spoke of the possibility of maintaining harmony and peace between different religious communities. So, when you are quoting all of it, okay, that can also act as a profound introduction related to the topic of, we can say, tolerance or peace or syncretism or secularism as a social cultural experience in India. Okay. Again, further, other than historical background, so you can quote history related facts, the profound and popular ones, the established ones. Do not pick any sensational or controversial example. See to it the balance is maintained. Then comes the idea of startling facts or startling information. What is this startling fact or startling information? So startling facts are like surprising facts or surprising information. Now, before like moving ahead with startling facts, let me like first show you more examples. So here I have created some steps. So this is associated with the quotation. So quotation should be connected to the central theme. Okay, interpret the quotation, interpret the saying or the maxim or the quotation, provide the interpretation as well, explain very briefly how it is connected to the topic, that specific quotation. Okay, if it is written in a different language, then write the translation of it. All the things which I said has been like consolidated here. So when we are speaking of quotation, quotation adds value to the topic, because it is like, as popularly said, gagar mein sagar bharna, or it is like pouring the world of wisdom in limited set of words. Again, it can be connected with authenticity. It brings in greater authenticity to the content, because you are validating it with the opinion of someone like wise or someone popular, known, holding the world of wisdom, so something like that. Also, it provides a spacing for thinking, for reflection, for bringing in some critical idea. Again, anecdotes, as I have discussed with all of you, so anecdotes should be related to the topic. It should have the ability to convey the message. It should be authentic. Okay, it should be something like that is believable. Okay, it should be crisp, short, as I said, and meaningful. So these are the qualities of anecdote. Now see, this is Nupur Goyal's anecdote. She was rank 11 in 2019. So this is the anecdote that she has written, which all of you can read. So it's written in deep sandy areas of Rajasthan. A man, Mansukh Bhai, is devastated after 2011 earthquake. It took away all he possessed: home, TV, fridge, etc. In scorching heat, there is an urge. Urge means like desire, strong desire is called urge. So there is an urge to drink cold water. But there is no electricity in the desert. Now, what to do? He initially thinks of having the hot water, instead, considering the cold water to be a necessity. But suddenly, he gets concerned about the thirst of thousands of poor who don't have access to electricity or fridge. There. Now, there should be written THERE, not THEIR. So, there. Mitti Cool Fridge is born. Okay, so when we are seeing this given anecdote, why is this anecdote very powerful? Why is that short story very powerful? This is very powerful because, the concern for thousands of poor who don't have access to electricity or fridge, this concern can be connected with the Gandhian approach. The Gandhian approach. Remember, this is the concern which was something which dawned upon Gandhi also in Pretoria. So, like Gandhi, when he was heading from Durban to Pretoria, when he was thrown out on the station of Durban, when he was heading to Pretoria while boarding the train, right? So, Gandhi in South Africa, what happened? He could have thought that this problem, that the racism that I witnessed, it is unique to me. And he could have thought that let me bring in an action, let me get into an action whereby I'm able to bring about change at grassroots level for the people. Rather than that, he could have thought that I have a law degree, let me file a suit and get the compensation, and let me teach those like people belonging to British origin a lesson. He could have thought it as a personal fight, but rather than thinking it as a personal fight, he took it as a fight which was associated with not his individual fight, whereas a challenge which millions of people must be suffering. So I thought it's a lot of Indians, a lot of Africans are victim of the same problem. Right. So when we are talking about the Gandhian approach, we all need to understand that he was able to not see his crisis as an individual crisis. He was able to see the crisis of millions of others in his own crisis. That's something which you all can connect with, right? So when we are talking about the Gandhian approach, that is something which we all can see is there in Nupur's introduction as well. That whereby she says that Mansukh Bhai is concerned about millions of others, thousands of others, whereby he considers that a lot of people like him are unable to have access to electricity or fridge. So the thirst is not something unique or specific to him or his family. Something needs to be done for hundreds and millions of others, right? So that's what. How can we write this introduction in imaginary? You keep reading so many things happening in newspapers, magazines, a lot of social media channels which are inspiring stories. You keep reading all that, just make a gist of it, keep getting inspired. See what is building your ideas, perceptions and world is something that can qualify as what you are incorporating in the introduction. Okay, Saurabh is saying even when Gandhi gave up stitched clothes. Yes, yes, you can think of that as well. We have to remember too many quotations? No, you don't have to remember too many quotations. You have to remember a handful of quotations, that shall be more than enough. And there are a list of topics which are quite popular, so you can just memorize that. Remembering stories is not tough, because we are like human beings are story listening creatures. We get inspired by anecdotes and stories, so remembering that should not be tough. So confused to prepare as optional, whether law, whether this is not the platform, Prashant, to discuss about optional. Okay, this is not the platform to discuss about optional. Briefly speaking, any optional is good optional with respect to what, like I would say, inspires you, what you feel like studying. Because any teacher, including I, will be teaching the subject for 5 months or so. But after that, what? after so-called 90 sessions, 110 sessions, whatever, after that, what needs to be done? Think, reflect. After that, the journey is yours. It is your exclusive journey. You're fighting your own battle. So when you are writing your mains exam with that subject, you should be self-motivated to read. You should be self-motivated to update it, right? So rather than asking me, you ask yourself, what is inspiring you? Can we quote in historical context like history is the version of the past events and the people have decided to agree upon? Yeah. And history is also the narrative of the victor, the person who has won. That's also there, Santosh. So, right. So can we give anecdotes from real world? Yeah, yeah, that's there. There are three segments to anecdotes. If you remember, I have created that and I have discussed that. If you remember this, see this. In anecdote, there is mythological, real life experiences, imaginary, femina, right? Historical background can also be that if a topic can be explained in brief through history, very brief, very brief. Okay, now so, as all of you are able to connect with these examples, okay. So, introduction when we speak of it. So, not only he is like Mansukh Bhai, not only is it for Mitti Cool. Okay, so not only is it able to provide cold water but also consume no electricity, it comes as an answer to a dire necessity and a thought to help others, right? So I hope all of you are getting an idea related to these types of introduction. Now before I move to types of conclusion, first let me explain the basic segments that we were engaging with. So after this segment of anecdote and historical background, I have discussed historical background also. Historical background, simple. Just remember incidents of history which are validated to the topic, which are connected to the topic. Write it well in a just manner, that shall be enough. Now, with respect to this, when we further move ahead and when we start working towards the segment of, like, let's say, the segment associated with, we can consider a startling information. So startling information can be related to, like, let's say all of you are aware of a lot of facts. So poverty, should I pick poverty because you people have done social issues recently? So should I give an example from poverty? Will that be fine? Will all of you be fine with it? Okay. So all of you are aware of like poverty estimates, right? So you all are aware that there are different ways of calculating poverty. All of you are like you have studied that, right? Okay. So what are the ways of calculating poverty? Internationally we calculate it through multidimensional poverty index. In India, in the past, we have been calculating poverty through the various, we can say, committees which have come up with their own methods of like calculating poverty, right? Yes, there have also been methods related to calorie intake. Okay, so when we are speaking of this given dimension, hi, Anurag, before my session, I think there was social issues that was being taught. No worries, different batches are having different schedule. So we can also talk about the given segments. Okay, okay, all right, all right. I must have got confused with some other place, disaster management. Okay, disaster management was it. All right, fine. I must have got confused with respect to this. Now let's understand this given segment. Poverty, I think everyone knows that, right? Let me just stick to the example, and that will be more than enough. So, like, let us say when we discuss about the idea of poverty, we see that different committees and commissions have their own methods of measurement. So, someone tries to determine the below poverty line on the basis of income and expenditure, whereby, like, for example, C. Rangarajan committee suggested that any family which is spending less than 47 rupee per day in urban area and less than 33 rupee per day in rural area shall be treated as poor. Okay, so, like when we are considering this term, again, when we are considering the idea of poverty with respect to calorie intake, that in rural area, someone eating less than 2400 kcal, and in an urban area, if it is less than 2100 kcal. Similarly, when we talk about multidimensional poverty index, that also lays down 10 indicators associated with poverty, right? So the question arises, are we calculating poverty correctly? Are we identifying the BPL, below poverty line, correctly? As we have a tendency to support the poorer sections of the society with subsidized or free grains when we are aware that either they are unable to support themselves with the food grains, or we are aware of the given possibility that by providing food grains, subsidized food grains, they will be left with sufficient savings which can be utilized. Okay, those savings can be utilized for having better access to education or healthcare, right? So, after writing this given subsegment, as you write this given subsegment, and when you are writing henceforth, when National Food Security Act extends its benefit of providing subsidized food grains at 3, 2 and 1 rupee respectively, rice, wheat and like coarse grains. Okay, then the question arises that are we identifying the poor sufficiently, whereby majority of the, we can say, indices, commissions identify about 1/4 of India's population as BPL, whereas the benefits of National Food Security Act is extended to 2/3 of the population, like rural 75%, urban 50%. So, are we identifying the idea of poverty correctly? Are we identifying the intensity of vulnerability properly? Are you understanding that when we are talking about it? Okay. So, I hope all of you are able to connect with this, right? So when you are, okay, why is everyone discussing batch? Didn't I say that stop the discussion of batch and let us focus on startling factor information? So there are two ways of writing the same information. One way is that according to multidimensional poverty index, XYZ number of people have moved out of poverty, and presently about 25% of population is still struggling with poverty. According to C. Rangarajan committee report, so and so number of people. So this is like factual. When you are coming up with factual, either lace it up with some critical analysis. Okay. And if you cannot put some critical analysis, see to it that the fact is surprising enough. That when a person is reading, the person is like, oh my God, that's tremendous. Okay. So this is I imply to say is because when you are starting an essay, it should be supremely impactful. A person should read and feel that, oh my God, this was something like thought provoking. This was something like, you know, which was impactful and which really created a an impact in the way I'm perceiving, interpreting and understanding the reality. Okay. So I hope all of you are able to connect with this given idea associated with startling fact, startling or surprising fact. It can be associated with anything. Like, you know, in 2013, after the statistical estimates that were given out for population, a lot of demographers claimed that India has already surpassed the population of China and has become the most populous country in the world. It's just that we need to declare it officially at any given point of time. And we took almost a decade to declare that India is the most populous country. And why that statement was given by demographers? Now you'll be like, hey, a decade back in 2013, demographers said that we have crossed the population of China and we are the most populous country. Why? How? You must be curious. The fact is that they said that barely 79% of death, sorry, 71% of death, barely 71% of death has been registered, and 89% of birth have been registered. So when all the birth and all the death is not getting registered, that means if all the death and birth would have been registered, the figures would have been differed. And then they did a mathematical calculation, and on the basis of mathematical calculation, they arrived at this opinion that the population has already surpassed. Okay. You talked like Nobita. Yes, I actually watch a lot of like I would say anime and cartoons. Anime presently, not cartoons. So sometimes I have a tendency to like emulate them. That does happen. I accept that. All right. So economics NCERT on poverty discusses the same way of questioning. Yes, yes, yes. That's why. Very good, Anurag. If you are able to recall that. NCERT also has this tendency to discuss, whereby it raises thought provoking questions and makes you think. It will give you facts, but not just plain dry information. Along with the facts, along with the information, it will raise a triggering question. That's the idea of writing a powerful introduction, whereby you are engaged with the content in an essay. Okay, so I think you all have like better understanding of this given segment as well. So, can we write introduction by using combination of types of introduction? Yeah, yeah, people do that. A lot of people engage in this. They sometimes write a quotation and then they give a historical background, or sometimes they start with a historical background, then finish it with raising a set of question or questions. All that happens, Anuishka. So you can create a combination as well, right? Okay, so let's move ahead with the next subtype, that is raising a question or a set of questions. What do we imply by that? Now, raising a question or a set of questions. So, this is also a very interesting method which is used by like students in a profound manner. This is to open a set of possibilities which leaves the reader thinking. For example, you are writing something associated with education, and in the process of, Shivani, I've already told introduction, I mean, there's no word limit per se, but it can be one para also, it can be two or three paras also, but the only thing is it should be engaging, it should be connected to the core topic, and the main idea should keep flowing. And there can be different types also that can be combined. There are students who write introduction in 1.5 page as well, so that's perfectly fine. What really makes a difference is how you have engaged with the topic, how you have brought in the insight per se. Okay, so it's all about like how you are building the topic, how you are building the context. All right. Okay, one of you had asked how movie dialogues can be used. Let me just find out and I'll just like give you that example. Yeah, here it is. So this is Netrajit's conclusion. You can just see this. He has, one of you had asked that, ma'am, how to use a movie dialogue. See this, his conclusion. So the topic was, what is true education? As a practice essay, this was given. So in 2005, this topic was given. What is real education, or what is true education? True education. So he just wrote the essay, and towards the end, you can see how it is written. So it's like, if the intricacies of true education still intrigue us, we may as well heed the poignantly simple message of Rancho, of the movie Three Idiots. Apply yourself where you enjoy the gift of your talent. Do not pursue success. Rather, the pursuit of success will bring success. The pursuit of excellence will bring success come calling to you. You can see this, right? So movie dialogues can also be used, okay, as like we can consider introduction or conclusion, those who were curious how it can be used. Okay, anyway, getting back to what we were dealing with. So with respect to this given area, in terms of raising a question or a set of questions, suppose all right. So, when we are talking about raising a question or set of questions, we should use such dialogues not like "kitne aadmi the." That's common sense, Abhijit, right? And why will you write "kitne aadmi the" for an essay? I mean, I think that's something like, maybe for a fun bone you can consider that. What is written on the left side of the paper? Left side, types of introduction is written. Oh, that was remarks, the evaluation. That is what was written on the left side of the paper while evaluating what were the strengths and what were the weaknesses of his essay. Anyway, getting back to the game. So, with respect to raising a question or a set of questions, what needs to be created? So, let's say the topic was education as it should be, right? So, let me create the possibility of raising a question or set of questions. So for education as it should be, suppose you are starting it with every time one passes by a school bus and notices students littering the streets with chips packets, okay, or like a wafer chips, wafer and candy wrappers, one feels like asking, are they truly getting educated? Question mark. Every time it is reported that in a bungalow a poor person has been molested or beaten up, one feels like asking, are educated people living in such mansions? Question mark. Every time we notice people spitting on the streets, rolling down their car windows, expensive, like swanky car windows, one feels like asking, are these people truly educated? So, when you're raising those questions, you are actually communicating that education is not mere literacy, it brings civic sense, it brings a sense of ownership to public spaces, it brings a sense of accountability towards the resources that you are holding. It also brings in a sense of sanitation and keeping like your spaces neat and clean. It also brings compassion and sensitivity towards people who are not as empowered as you. Got it? So you communicated all these ideas through raising set of questions. I hope all of you are getting an idea. Okay. So the idea of raising a question or a set of questions. Can we ask multiple questions? Yes, you can ask multiple questions because the question will be implicit to the segments you will be responding later in another tone, in other version of engagement, right? Educated people do this. Yes, currently pilot couple in Delhi beaten 10-year-old girl for many days. Yes, 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 all that. So even people throw cigarette butts from their window. Yes, so many other examples which you can think of. But like raising a set of questions. I was giving you the example of Kiran Kaushal. She had used a combination of introduction. There was this introduction in which she had given a historical overview, and then she had started with raising a set of questions. So the topic, as I had shared, it was impact of globalization on vulnerable sections. So she had written that the previous century was the century of colonizers and industrialists, whereas the present century would be the century of third world countries, which are constantly articulating their space and demanding or shaping the idea of human rights. After writing this, then she wrote that the possibility of empowerment of these third world countries, which are constantly seeking their space from the first world countries, is a matter of great curiosity. The world is watching their pace of development. Then it is also creating uncertainty and a new pattern of global politics whereby the shift of power is taking place through different organizations, bodies, and alliances. Full stop. So after writing all this, that globally what all is happening and how previous century was different from present century and how present century is unfolding, after writing all this, then she writes that the question arises that in the process of getting empowered, what price would the third world countries pay? Who will be the players who will play an efficient role to help these countries rise above like the rest? Question mark. Then what are the tools which are needed for sustaining the nature of development? Question mark. Will this process of globalization and development of third world countries be inclusive, or will it be urban centric and centric to the service class? Question mark. Okay, so she raised all these questions, and then after raising the question, she's like, the answer lies in the nature of articulations and efforts we make in present as well as the near future. And then she changes the paragraph, and then she starts talking that how globalization is impacting which sector and what is the effort, which community, what is the effort, which segment, what is the effort. Okay, so I hope you are understanding that raising a question or a set of questions is possible. I gave you the example of education, I gave you the example of globalization. All right, so I hope all of you are understanding this. What's the point of our education if we still throw rubbish on street to be ultimately picked up by an uneducated person? Yes, that's there. In my locality, a couple who are professor in respected institution performed human sacrifice. Oh my God, by executing their own daughter. Oh, that's tremendous. I mean, sacrifice in the communities wheresoever it has been there, it has been a male sacrifice of male animal, and later on, earlier it was male human being. And any form of sacrifice, anyone who is performing, whether male or female, that is nothing but a very regressive mark, and also probably they are not guided well. Not guided well. Anyway, if we weren't able to recall the original letters of quote, should we write it or not? Parveen, if you are unable to recall the original quotation, you can always write as it is popularly said that, and don't put it under quotations. Okay, don't put it under quotation marks, just write it as it is popularly said or as it is popularly communicated. That shall be more than enough. Okay, how these ideas can be developed: exhaustive reading, reflection, and revision. None party is going to help because the third world countries, okay, we are not discussing a topic. We are right now, Prashant, not discussing a topic. We are not talking about IR or globalization or impact on vulnerable sections. So we are not talking about a topic. We are talking about expression, how people have a tendency to express, use these methods in essay. I hope that's clear. So can question on superstition be asked? No, that will be too kiddish. That's something meant for some other, we can say, level of exam. UPSC gives some more profound possibility. The angle of superstition can be opened in an answer if there is a question related to, like, let's say, religion, or if not religion, rationality, reasoning, customs. There you can just put this angle that when reasoning is lost, how custom slips into superstition. Then you can discuss. But exclusively a question on superstition, no, that's not there. Okay. Can I give this example? Which example? Oh, that one. That will be too gory and too unnecessary, right? Until unless the question doesn't demand, do not get into this. Still, if you want to do that, you can always write down not your locality. You can always write down that in X area it has been reported that, and then you can mention the incident. That's how you can write, Santosh. All right. So I hope you're understanding how to raise a question or a set of questions. I hope this area is clear to all of you. Right. Now, with respect to conversation, how is conversation brought into action under the component of types of introduction? So, conversations play a very profound role and a very interesting role. Like, they can be really, really very engaging in nature. So for conversation, what I can share or suggest is that keep the conversation short. Okay. So keep the conversation short, simple, believable or realistic, and relevant to the topic. Let it not be a conversation you are writing because you find it funny or you find it like interesting or amazing. It should be relevant to the topic as well. Now, like let us say Shruti wrote an introduction on child labor, right? So suppose you have to write a introduction on child labor and you want to start it with conversation. So with respect to this, when we are speaking of it, like let's say you end up writing something like this, that Ramesh and Suresh, after attending their social issues class, head towards a nearby tea shop or Agarwal sweets or something like that to have cups of tea and samosa. Full stop. Now, this is a believable situation. You can imagine, yes, two boys after attending their class, they are going to have cups of tea and samosa. Okay, so after writing this, full stop, then you are writing Ramesh. And suppose he is writing after Ramesh, colon, and then Ramesh speaks. Okay, so Ramesh, colon, and then you're writing, buddy, I don't think the problem of child labor can ever be eliminated. Okay, full stop. Though our teacher was sharing the new laws and interventions meant for child labor. But till the time these police walas are involved, I don't see the scope of this problem ever getting rooted out or ever getting weeded out, full stop. Okay, generally people talk like that, यार दोस्त, I don't see this problem getting away, पुलिस वाला जो है मिले हुए हैं, people talk like that, right? So this is a believable conversation. The words that you have written are like not totally informal, and the way it has been expressed, it is very natural, the flow is very natural. Then Suresh, after putting the colon Suresh, he says, oh yes, there are problems or lacunas in the system, yet the day till you and I, or I and you would be a better expression, because here the problem is there. So the day till I and you keep asking for more cups of tea and more chutney for our samosa from our very own Chotu, and Chotu is kept under quotation, from our very own Chotu, I believe child labor can never be eliminated. Full stop. Quotation closed. Now you have left the reader thinking that the problem of child labor is not only due to lack of proper implementation of laws, okay, but also because of social acceptance. People let child labor unfold in front of them. They accept it as a way of life. They accept it because they feel, what will happen to the child if the child is not truly empowered? So with that kind of thought process, when people are empowered, when the debate and discussion carries forward, we all can connect it with this given area. Is everyone understanding this? um Parveen, what are you talking about? Cups. Till the time was like a pause that I took. Okay, till the time we keep asking for cups of tea. This is what I implied to say. Okay, you must have seen that every time I'm framing the sentence, I take a pause and I say So it was not for the article That common sense should always be used. Because what will you do if the interview board is raising a question and someone is articulating a statement, and in the process you are left thinking that, oh, the sentence formation was little improper, it was grammatically not so correct. That will create a diversion. Focus on what is being communicated if you are unable to catch hold of the lingo and the flow. All right, now, so fine. So all of you are able to understand that. Yeah, police, the moment you write police walas, that's fine, Shamil, because I told you it has to sound like a conversation. I'll tell you what happened. Once one of the students, she wrote a topic related to women empowerment, and in the process of conversation, because she was too interested in this style of writing introduction, so in the process of conversation she wrote this kind of introduction, that the father and daughter are conversing over the issue of women empowerment and why it is necessary for a girl child to continue with higher education. Initially, the father wanted the girl child to get married at a younger age, but the daughter resisted it. Then she just wrote, I mean, maybe I'm using even a better explanation, but still, you all need to understand. So, daughter, colon, and then, my dear father, I really don't want to get married early, because if I get educated, I will be able to get a career, I will be able to imagine a better future, contribute in national development, and also it will help me to grow as a better person. Full stop. Then father, colon, my dear daughter, you opened my eyes. This is so very important for you to get educated. Can you understand that? Is it sounding realistic? How many like children talk like this to their father? My dear father, and father saying, my dear daughter. And within one statement, my eyes are opened. Can you understand that? So, for maintaining that realism, you don't need to slip into informal language or use cuss words, slangs, gali galoj nahi karna hai, informal language nahi use karna hai. You always have to maintain that. Okay. But in the process, you can write words like buddy. Okay, because this is how people talk. In Hindi, you can see people saying, "Arey yaar, dost, kya chal raha hai?" Okay, or yaar, kya chal raha hai? So this is what buddy. So you can use such reference words which are sounding making the conversation informal, but not slipping into improper English. All right. So that's what. Yes, yes, you can use such possibilities also. I'll give you one more. Okay, I will give you one more example. So, as we were discussing about this mode of example conversation, what happened was that it was a mains batch. So, in that batch, there was a student. He is presently an IPS officer posted in East Delhi. Few months back only, he caught hold of a racket related to child labor. And because child labor, so I was reminded of it. So child labor racket, he, like, he was able to save more than 128 children or so. It was a massive racket anyway. So this boy, his title is Meena. So what Meena did was that in one of the mains classes, he said that, ma'am, I'm feeling so scared with this conversation, how to write it. So I was like, okay, let us practice. So what I did was immediately, to the entire class, it was a small batch, more like a super 30 for mains, like that. So I told the batch that, okay, let all of us like focus, let all of us sit down and reflect upon the possibility of what is the, like, let us consider most important dimension which can be asked. So I zeroed down few topics. One of them was development, and I said, let us try to write an introduction on the topic of development. So everyone tried to write. Interestingly, this fellow was initially most scared and came up with the best solution. Okay. So he wrote a very beautiful introduction to the topic of development. I'll just narrate it. So he wrote, grandpa and grandma were having cups of tea and discussing over morning newspaper. Now you can visualize this situation, that they are like sitting, they are having cups of tea and they are discussing over morning newspaper. So now grandpa, wow, look at the pace of development that our country is making. There are so many new flyovers, malls, 6-lane corridors getting constructed. Okay, exclamation mark. Grandma, then colon, my naive sweetheart, exclamation mark. Naive sweetheart, dhat pagle, dhat buddhu, like that. Okay. So my naive sweetheart, exclamation mark. According to me, real development is not just 4-lane corridors or malls. It would have occurred if our neighbor Radha would have been able to go to college without anyone escorting her, comma, her brother would have got a job without bribing or greasing the palms of different officials in different departments, comma, and you and I could go for a pilgrimage without any fear of being looted or exploited. Full stop. So the definition of, like, development is clear here. That development is not mere growth of infrastructure. It also implies security for women, higher education for all, employment opportunities for all, corruption free society, and safety and well-being of the senior citizens taken care of at all times. Right? So I hope all of you are able to understand that. Right? So I hope all of you are able to gain this insight related to conversation. Short, simple, realistic, relevant. Fine. The way you tell the stories are really best way to remember the topics. Yeah, that's how you're supposed to connect with the dimensions, right? So that's why I said that towards the beginning, all the people who are getting jittery, oh my God, types of introduction, what to do in this, what to do in that, I said, just thamba. It will take some time. I'll just take some time and explain each and every segment in greater detail, because introduction is the first, I would say, window to your essay for the examiner. By reading the first 2 pages, the examiner is going to make a mental benchmark. How you know, how much you know, how you are going to perform, what is your nature of articulation, your level of reflection and thinking, what kind of ideas impact upon you. So all of it gets a sneak peek of it is there in the first 2 pages. So first 2 pages has to be very profound. I mean, individually introduction might be having just 5% importance, but I would say subconsciously, like indirectly, this area bears almost 1/4 importance, because it's opening the window for the examiner to the essay that you are going to write. Okay. So that is something which all of you can understand. All right. And you can accordingly manipulate your own examples for that matter. So this is a what is it, okay. So Shivani, what have you written? I cannot understand what you have written. It's like comma 8 7 apostrophe 1 slash plus. Is it some typing error that happened by mistake? Do we really need to write that explanation, what you explain after grandpa grandma conversation? No, I was not giving the explanation. Grandma was giving the explanation. My naive sweetheart करके वो चुप नहीं हो गई, ठीक है? She did not get silenced after that, Harsh. She continued. Okay, she continued with it. My naive sweetheart, the real development according to me would not be just flyovers or building of infrastructure. It would be, and whatever she spoke, her neighbor Radha, not my neighbor Radha. Okay, her brother, Radha's brother, or the grandparents. So it was not my explanation, it was she. Okay, so okay, you were using Shamel introduction with the help of questions, quotation. Yeah, there's so many ways to write, so many ways. And that's why I'm encouraging you, every time you read an NCERT book or an editorial, see how, don't focus only on the content or only on the facts that are written. Get inspired how it is getting communicated. Get inspired by the language they are using, how they are connecting one para or one idea with the other. Get inspired by the way they are engaging the attention. Get inspired by how they are, like, introducing the information to you. Because when you pay attention to these insights, you are building your essay as well. You don't have to read anything extra for essay. But if you pay attention to the writing style of, like, guest editors who are writing editorials, guest editorial articles, you are paying attention to a lot of books which are there in your syllabus. I'm talking about NCERT, I'm talking about formal books. I'm not talking about M. Lakshmikant kind of books. They are less of books, they are more of notes consolidated together. I'm not talking about notes, I'm talking about books as books. Okay, like for example, if someone is reading Development and Participation of Amartya Sen and Jean Drèze, okay, or like similarly there are so many other books which, like I was discussing when we were talking about ethics chapter, like, sorry, ethics subject, GS paper 4, just like 2 weeks back. So I was telling you, do some bedtime reading, don't touch phone. The radiation is bad for your brain, it is bad for gray cells. Remember all that? Keep the phone away. So I was encouraging you to read books, and I was also suggesting books once in a while. So when you read those books, then you get inspired about how many styles and ways and methods are there. And suppose you are unable to read books, you are running short of time, you always have the opportunity to read NCERT. If nothing, then guest editorial articles. Even Yojana's editorial is written in an essay like format. Okay, so we'll be discussing that. I'll be showing you like few sources, and you'll be seeing that, and you shall be getting inspired later, not immediately. Okay, but just sharing this. So start reading the sources from a new perspective. The same, like I would say, sources which you have been exposed to earlier, but you have been only seeing it from GS perspective. Start noticing them from essay perspective as well. All right. Yes, introduction is like first impression is last impression. So why not make it impressive enough? So true. So in all these intro methods, which one is the best? They all are best. It's your penmanship which determines which one can you write in the most justified manner. Because different topics can have different types of introduction, right? So there's no end to education. Oh, that's interesting, Neetu. Everyone speaks about the world of wisdom as per their nature of expression and experience and exposure. Okay, because our grandparents are from the generation when early marriage used to take place. That's why such a suggestion. Don't take it to heart. You focus on your goal. As simple as that. So we need to respect our seniors, and we need to take it as a pinch of salt. How much soever is required to brew our own soup or broth. So when it is in moderation, we are brewing it well and we are tasting it well. The moment we take too much, that's something that damages the broth. So youth development, elderly safety, that part explanation. Oh, that was something which I was saying, Harsh. You don't need to write. If you want to write it, change the para and then explain that. Okay, that henceforth we can understand that that development is not merely associated with. So that is how you can explain if you want to, but after changing the para. Okay, so no problem, Shamel. We have the weekend batch 12th onwards, 12th of August. So you can attend that. Right? Okay. So I think conversation method is heart touching to you. Great, great. Different methods, and they have their own impact when we speak of it. Okay. What actually, yes, UPSC is looking for is that, like, UPSC is actually looking for the very possibility of you being a seasoned person, a person who can reason out, a person who's a logical thinker, a person who's well informed, a person who's balanced, okay, a person who's sensitive yet balanced, knows how to exercise uh, the wisdom in precision as per the suitability of the situation. Okay. So just carve yourself as a beautiful human being, a balanced one, a logical one, a cool and calm one. Okay. So all the values which are required for civil services, which we studied, that's not just a chapter, that's a way of life. Try to imbibe it in your personality. And as you keep working towards it, and as you keep thinking about that specific dimension, and keep building those segments, it starts impacting everything. The way you read, the way you update, the way you reflect, um, everything. The entire process of learning gets impacted. Now, let us reflect upon this given subsegment, this one segment which I missed out by mistake. Um, in anecdote, you can also talk about childhood stories. Childhood stories that can also be incorporated. So, what is this segment of childhood stories? Okay. Philosophical essay, I told you, Abhinash, there is a full fledged lecture devoted for philosophical essay. We are maturing to it, right? So, you are better than what you were on first day or second day today, right? So, every day is a step ahead to it. So, not tomorrow. Tomorrow, again, there is the segment devoted to debatable essays and organization of essay. Day after tomorrow, we'll be dedicating to that segment. All right. So, bit by bit, let us graduate and mature to the area of philosophical essay. Now, when we are speaking of this, I can also give you an example of childhood stories as introduction. So, childhood stories as introduction can be like, let us consider, yeah, you can use a lot of stories like femina, as you are saying, Shibi Raja tales. There is Hitopadesha, there is Panchatantra, there is Jataka tales, there is like Vikram Betal tales. There are so many tales. I mean, I told you, human civilization and people across the world are story listening like animals, and we really love to listen to narratives. We build our sense of understanding and wisdom through narratives. So subconsciously, we all love narratives. That's why movies, OTT platforms, all these are so popular. Why? The reason is this: our idea of getting entertained, and also we are left thinking philosophically, we are left reflecting when it is simplified, especially through anecdotes and stories. Right? Anyway, getting back, essay is not a story writing. Essay is a glimpse of, maybe a glimpse of an anecdote can be given, but essay is a wholesome reflection of your wisdom related to a topic, what all you know about the topic, all the, like we can say, spherical dimensions of a topic, a 360-degree exploration of the topic. Now, in that, I said childhood stories can also act as an introduction. So all of you know the story of the hare and the turtle? Yes, all of you? Yeah, hare and the turtle. So we can recreate it, like for the topic of development. Like, let's say if someone is writing a topic like this, that um, every time as a child the story of the hare and the turtle was narrated, it brought down shivers. Bacha to dar jayega na, a child can get scared. It brought down shivers. What if the hare would get up, comma, will the turtle have a fair chance to win the race, question mark. What if there is a stream before reaching the goal? Even if the hare is very fast, will it have a fair chance to win a race? Question mark. Because if there is a stream, definitely the turtle can swim, not the hare, right? So, question mark. So, three statements you've written. Fourth statement: our society is full of hares and turtles with different capabilities and caliber. Hence, it is essential that when the turtles are left behind, the hares carry them on their back. And when the hares are unable to swim and cross the stream, the turtles carry them on their back so that the coveted goal of development is reached by both. Full stop. I hope all of you are able to connect with this. Okay, so childhood stories can be recreated. I generally say this, that it creates a Ratatouille effect. Have you watched the movie Ratatouille, also popularly called Ratatouille? So yes, few of you have watched it, few of you have not watched it. So very briefly, if it can be said, there is this little rat which is an expert chef, and there is Linguini, a young boy, a like late teenager or early 20s boy, and this rat gets into the hat of Linguini, the chef, and instructs him how to cook properly. Somehow the case gets reported, and one of the celebrity critiques, food critiques, comes to visit the restaurant, and on the basis of the review of the critique, it is going to be determined if the restaurant will survive or it will get shut down. And then the rat prepares ratatouille for the uh, food critic who's come. And even Linguini is surprised, why am I preparing ratatouille? Ratatouille is like, let us consider in India, a food critique has come to your home or to your restaurant, and you should be preparing the best dish you can, and you end up serving khichdi. Okay, so ratatouille is like that. It's like baked vegetables in a specific tomato sauce, tomato paste. Okay, so when ratatouille was served, okay, then what happened was that like this man, the food critic, he is left thinking about his childhood, dreaming and recalling his childhood, and his mother, who used to come from the field all sweat soaked, tired, and he used to come back from school, and she used to prepare a fresh pot of ratatouille and serve it to him. So as he starts eating ratatouille, he is soaked in the memories of the past. He's so like impressed by the ratatouille that he writes an amazing review, and that is how the restaurant is able to survive. This childhood story, or any childhood story, can prove to be your ratatouille when you're writing the example by connecting a childhood story with the, like we can say, the topic, and a relevant one, mind it, a relevant one. Then the examiner can have that little smile on the face, can be like, oh, that was a very interesting twitch or an interesting take on the topic. It was a very interesting twist, whereby the child is, like, bringing in a lot of relevance and interesting insights related to this topic. And that is something which can help you get amazing marks. Like, for example, the thirsty crow. We all know the story, right? And suppose someone is writing this, that um, the condition of the vulnerable sections is like the thirsty crow, whereby the limited resources are not reaching out to them. Henceforth, various pebbles of schemes, laws, government interventions by civil society, NGOs, and philanthropic bodies lets the limited resources reach up to the vulnerable sections, who are able to quench their necessity and participate in the mainstream society by flying ahead and participating in the mainstream society. So something like that can always be created. That creative twist can also be created. Basically, I'm focusing more on creativity simultaneously because, if everyone is writing on the same topic, how to create a twist without making too much of effort? Like few of you said, oh ma'am, I can't remember too many quotations. There are other ways to be creative. There are other ways to be thought provoking. Okay, so these are the methods that you can think and you can create. All right, so yes, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. This question was asked also by UPSC, Ravi, and that's what I am focusing on. All right, so just keep creating. When you are creating interesting and engaging segments, you want to read more, because please remember, the examiner is exposed to similar topics. Everyone is writing on the similar topic. Lifting information from GS is essential. Yes, that's the backbone of essay, and everyone will be writing from GS. Everyone will be lifting similar kind of facts and analysis from GS. So along with that, what else should be there which makes your essay stand out and make it engaging in nature? Okay, there was this student that I had few years back in sociology. So Ashutosh, he got amazing rank also. He was All India under 100. But you know, there was another student at his time only, Gaurav, who used to write better answers. Means the depth, the segments, the dimensions were too many. But with Ashutosh, what I realized, he had power of penmanship. He could write in such an engaging manner that you felt like reading more. First, he got selected as revenue services officer, then an IAS officer. So, like what I realized, even in the toppers meet when he was discussing it with students, how to go ahead with the preparation, he came up with this possibility of engaging the attention of the students with real life examples from his life. And the way he spoke and the way he created that engagement, everyone was laughing, cheering, clapping, and everyone could connect with what he was saying. And it was very encouraging. So, what I noticed was that he had the power of the gift of gab, the power of engaging the attention of the students. And that was because of the simple reason that he could create better visualization. That was because he could create interlinkage between problem like topics. So interlinkage, engagement, interesting, how to build a larger picture, the possibility of visualization, understanding the concept in totality and then simplifying it. All these are arts which you develop when you are revising more, when you are writing more, when you are practicing more in speech and in written. Okay, so this won't happen overnight, but with bit by bit, when you practice more, that starts articulating. Recall your childhood, the kind of language you had, and the language you had in standard 8th, and the language you possess today. There is a quantum leap, right? And that has happened because of the systematic efforts consciously and unconsciously you have made, right? So this time, as you are preparing for your GS portion, also simultaneously prepare for the same topic from an essay perspective as well. Reflect it from an essay perspective as well. This is what is advisable. All right. Which one is more easy to write, philosophical or DE? What is DE? I don't understand DE. Pile. All right. So I draw a lot of lessons from Hollywood animated movies. Yes, yes, anything is possible. Anything is possible. You all could see that toppers are using those examples. Okay, descriptive. Well, do you get a choice, Payal, nowadays? You are getting philosophical essays, 8 on 8. So, where is the space and scope of choosing between philosophical or descriptive essays? I mean, like, which one is more easy? According to me, any day for a beginner student, descriptive essay will be easier because the child can understand the topic. But um, that's not the thing which is asked nowadays in the exam, right? So we have to understand this given dimension. So let us reflect upon the other segment. So conversation also explained, all these segments explained. Let us move ahead. So as we move ahead with respect to this given area, anecdotes and stuff, so we can reflect upon types of conclusion. Now, types of conclusion, we all can understand, first and foremost, all types of introduction, all types of introduction qualify as types of conclusion. Fun thing. Another thing, a conclusion can be in contrast with the introduction. A conclusion can be in contrast with the introduction, right? For example, you can consider this like, let's say, introduction, and let us say conclusion. Under introduction, we all can connect with, like, let's say, past oriented. So conclusion can be future oriented. Suppose introduction is diagnostic, it is diagnosing a problem. Diagnostic Conclusion can be prescriptive. Introduction is suppose realistic, discussing about a realistic aspect. Conclusion can be idealistic. Okay, idealistic, that is ideals which are pragmatic. Pragmatic means you can achieve them. Okay, so idealistic. So pragmatic and you can say based on larger human values, right? Then we can also consider a conclusion can be, I'll take up your questions in a short while. First, let me write. A conclusion can be based on larger ideals, or values which can be discussed, in suggestions or ultimate aspiration of the topic. Ultimate aspiration of the topic. All right. Conclusion as a summary of the respective topic. Yes, many people do that also, Abhijit. Like some people have a tendency that they first provide the summary statement. After the like providing the summary statement, they provide like a summary statement means like giving a gist of what all has been discussed so far. After summary statement, then people go for like suggestions, and after suggestions, then people go for concluding remark. That's also a step that people follow. Concluding remark. So last three paras devoted like this, associated with conclusion. That's also something which is there. So can I use my family's accident that caused a lot of sickness? Yes, that can also be used, but in third person. And you have to be like keeping a like balance, an emotional balance while writing such incidents. Can we use the example of actors for the dedication? Yes, yes, yes. Any actor, leader who has created a meaningful difference to his career or to the world of art, creativity, science, anything that can be incorporated. The context of dedication and hard work, can I give the short story 2 3 lines? Ronaldo? Yes, you can talk about Ronaldo. Yes. All right. Now, so when we are speaking of this, while writing about vulnerable sections and backward classes, should we also use backward classes? It's a legal term, Akhil. It's a legal term, so you can use it. That is not going to cause a problem. Now, with respect to this, first and foremost, all types of introduction qualify as types of conclusion. Means you can redefine the term. That like for example, you started with the definition of development, then you opened the segments of development, the various communities that can get affected, challenges associated with development, quotients that needs to be achieved, the larger values of development, and then towards the end you write down, hence development is not just this which you started with, okay, but also this. So you can redefine, you can add more meaning, more weightage to the definition. You can also end it with quotations, as we were discussing. You saw that Srushti Deshmukh, she like created her own quotation, like she created her own poem. I quoted Kiran Kaushal. She quoted Iqbal when she was writing "Sare Jahan se Acha Hindustata Hamara." Right. So different individuals or different, we can say, people are quoting it differently. They are going ahead with different approaches. Right. So that can be possible. You can now the question will be, ma'am, can we really end a like essay with questions? Yes, that's possible. You can always write down that, like, let's say education as it should be. So suppose you are ending it and you're writing that now the question arises, will we be able to, and like, achieve these coveted goals? Will India be able to empower its teachers in this manner? Will we be able to like create this infrastructure? So you have written all those segments, question, question, question. Towards the end, you are writing the answer lies in the efforts of present as well as the unfolding of the near future by the various efforts made by the governments, like we can say civil society, the common citizens as stakeholders, at all, full stop. So you started, like, you ended it with a lot of questions, and you did not try to answer it immediately because you gave a lot of suggestions, efforts, challenges, like efforts already being made, what more needs to be done, all of it you have given in the answer, in the essay. Towards the end, finally what ought to be achieved lies in the future. You put that in context by giving the conclusion and then giving it a closure accordingly, right? Again, with respect to this, when we are talking about it, because Bhavna, as I told you, that not every topper is like the best one with respect to essay writing. Didn't I tell you that when it comes to essay writing, it is a knack, it is a skill, and it needs to be something powerful, creative, matured. The conclusion, as you noticed, that the reclaimed childhood was fine, but let the children play in the woods, that was an improper expression, not so matured. So that's what. Okay. Anyway, so when we are talking about this given possibility of, like, let's say, types of conclusion, and when we are discussing about it with respect to conversation, so like, let's say that grandpa grandma conversation you have written after, now, because remember I had given you this sentence that the spherical expansion of a topic creates an essay. So suppose you have started with grandpa grandma conversation, then you are discussing about the dimension of development, how it is associated with different levels and then different sections of the society, and then you are talking about like, let's say, historically and present times, and idea of development in future and the challenges associated with it, and then the dimensions, and you're blending it with, like, let's say, the different quotients, and then the larger values and ideals to be attained through development. Suppose you have written all that, all of it. Okay. And then towards the end, you're writing, henceforth, when we'll be able to realize all these given possibilities, we shall be able to see that grandpa and grandma are able to go to pilgrimage fearlessly, or fearlessly, without any thought of getting looted or exploited. Okay, comma, all the women in our society shall be able to attain higher education without any fear of like getting molested or eve teased, comma, all the, like, youth in our society shall be, all the youth shall get employed without bribing, and the potential getting truly recognized, comma, such a society shall be a breathable space for all, which is letting everyone participate as per their, we can say, choice and skills, full stop. So when you started with a specific segment, and all the segments that you opened, you finally went back and merged from where you began. Okay, so that is also there when we are talking about the type of introduction with respect to, like, quotation I'm saying, with respect to conversation. Okay, so that's how you can bring in a spherical completion when we are talking about it. Okay, so I hope all of you are able to connect the types of introduction. Practice is the key, Sakib. Always remember, practice is the key. You are not the same when you are in standard 5 or standard 8. With every passing year, you have become better. And it's not the teaching, it is the exam which will be creating the issue of feeling the fear. Because it's the nature of questions which is being asked, and the level at which you need to ripen and mature is something which will create the kind of discomfort. But who said that there is always comfort in any bigger or larger than life target that we aspire for? Just think about it, that in your life, when you were learning how to walk, was it a comfortable situation? The moment you are born as a human being, it's all a struggle to grow better. The one who's not ready to grow better, not ready to take the pain, will not be able to survive. So if when we were crying, when we were walking against gravity, if our mothers would have got intimidated, my child is crying, let the child not get up, let the child not walk, we won't have been able to like really walk. If she would have said, okay, okay, don't stand up, sit only, we would have become disabled. Please understand. So every time you're experiencing the strain and struggle, how to cope up, okay, Sakib, especially because you raised that context. So always remember the possibility of growing is never a comfortable possibility. In standard 10th, the 10th syllabus was overwhelming you. In standard 12th, 12th syllabus was overwhelming you. So why would UPSC look like a cakewalk? It has to overwhelm you, right? Because it is again another very big exam of your life, which is going to determine your career and going to determine a level of maturity that you need to attain before becoming an officer, right? Okay. So now, so in the context of development, can we give example of Norway? Yes, you can give example of Norway, though my idea of development will not get only connected to Norway, because see, Norway, Sweden, Finland, like 6 months of an year being bright, 6 months being somewhere subdued in darkness, temperature and weather conditions are so hostile. All that impacts human mood, human participation. Are you getting it? If you see ancient times, Oriental societies, China, Japan, India, all these societies were blooming and thriving with civilization. And the reason was nature was supporting the possibility. That was the natural way to like evolve, because when the temperature, the climatic condition, everything is conducive, it also adds to your mood, to your temperament, to like things which are blooming and glowing and growing around you, and all that also influences your sense of creativity. That's why I sometimes get very surprised when I see that from Norway, if someone is into like any kind of dark metal music or any kind of dark music, okay, then I'm like, it's such a beautiful country, there's so much of beauty around, from where are you getting all those dark hell kind of thoughts? Anyway, so in 2000s, two paras and stopped in between. Everyone, oh, that's so amazing. That's so amazing. Like Lyran Lakapam. So that's how teachers are supposed to, like, um, with respect to how, like, a student ought to be encouraged. Though, um, and like these small gestures are the ways how you build students block by block, the possibilities of breakthrough block by block, because the process of education is not merely imparting facts, it is about fixing the approach, fixing the, I would say, the insight, the approach, the way the child is targeting the future, the vision of the child towards himself or herself. Okay, so that's what. Yes, you can quote freedom fighters also, Harshita. So, uh, no, I don't have any channels, Neha. This is the mode of communication in which we are like connected. It's okay to start with old couples discussion, continuing, ending the same discussion. Yes, yes, yes. Because you started with the quotation, the conversation, then you opened other dimensions relevant to the topic, and towards the end, you helped the reader recall the example, the introduction, and you are bringing a conclusive evidence to the example and then ending it. Okay, that if this is done, then we will be able to live the same patterns of development. So that's possible. Okay. All right, Sachin. So, can you please suggest some relevant topics? Relevant topics for what? To use this story. There are different anecdotes. Different anecdotes can be used in different ways. All right. So, can we put the example by giving example? Suggestion. I mean, like, you don't need to write for example, but you can always lace it up in a better language, right? Yes, you can make a list of quotations. List of quotations will always be helpful. See, even if you are unable to reproduce the same quote, and suppose in GS you are struggling with an answer, you don't have enough content, you can always convert a quotation into a simplified language and add some more meat to the answer, right? So that's also there. That's how you plump up the answer. Okay. So quotations anyway help you. but you should not write quotations in GS. Remember that. Quotations in GS paper 1, 2, 3 is not advisable. Paper 4, yes. But in paper 1, 2, 3, it's not advisable. But if you're running short of content, in that situation, a thought-provoking statement, which is not written as a quotation, no, not that, but a thought-provoking statement can always be introduced, right? Now with respect to this, when we are further moving ahead, let us see something more. Okay, so in quotation, in this conclusion, see how Nupur Goyal is bringing in the the conclusion. It's so thought provoking. I really like this conclusion. I want all of you to read it and see. Simple yet effective. So, but innovation cannot be a panacea. Remember her introduction? Her introduction, Mansukh Bhai, inclusive growth. Okay, maybe I should show it to all of you so that you all can connect. See this. Innovation as a tool for achieving inclusive growth. Innovation as a tool for achieving inclusive growth in India. The statement is exclusive to India. Okay. Innovation as a tool for achieving inclusive growth. Focus is innovation being used for inclusive growth. Okay. And to this, when she is writing something like this, but innovation cannot be a panacea for inclusive growth. We need to move towards value-based education so that innovation is used for good of the society. So value-based education she is bringing in, that not only innovation can bring in inclusive growth. Along with innovation, we also need value-based education so that the end result is good. It's up to us to make the next dynamite or atom bomb for destruction of all, or a satellite to help better communication. Innovation, along with values like compassion, humanity, morality, empathy, care, environmentalism, are the need of the hour. Only then we'll be able to realize our aim as given in the 12th five-year plan. And what is the aim for 12th five-year plan? Towards a faster, sustainable, and inclusive India. See this? Powerful, wholesome, connected to the topic, right? And not necessarily a quotation from thinkers or poets or this or that. See? So all sources are nourishing you for essay. All sources of GS are constantly nourishing you for essay. All you need to do is get inspired by it and create, right? Putting movie dialogues in conclusion is appropriate. Rashmi, were you missing in the class, Rashmi? I showed Netrajit's essay and I showed What is True Education and Rancho and Three Idiots. Were you missing at that time? Because the question hints otherwise. So, okay, so that's what. Now, with respect to this, practicing is the key. The more you practice, okay, the more you get an idea associated with how to create a powerful segment of essay writing. Sometimes we remember the quote, but not the one who said it. That's okay, as popularly said, as it has been expressed. That's a way to express that, Niranjan, right? Can you share some essay in yes, you'll find that Sai, when we'll be talking about other forthcoming sessions, you'll find samples of a lot of people who have got selected, samples of their penmanship. Some will have very profound, like like I would say, grip over language. Some will be like simple yet organized. So different students have different writing style, and that is something that will like connect with this given possibility. Most of them are using terms which I am hearing for the first time. No problem, Shweta. That's how you build upon your language, and that's how you realize that standard 8th level English doesn't work. You have to develop your language which is competent to this graduate level exam, or which is competent to that of a bureaucratic expression, right? Should we learn here how to write essay? I mean, you suggest us to write essay. Is it possible? Offline classroom. When you can all these same methods I explain Payal in an offline session. The only difference is eye to eye contact. Here, what you are doing, whether you are standing in the kitchen or bathroom or bedroom or lying down and listening or sitting and listening, I cannot determine that. Okay, that's the only difference between an online and offline session. Rest from my side, content is the same. It's about a disciplined child being present from the first moment of the lecture to the last moment of the lecture that brings the difference. So I am the same, my methods are the same. Simple. Okay. Thank you for that, Anuishka, that you're enjoying. Now, so because the purpose of learning should be fun. Who says that learning is not fun? Learning is like super fun. Okay. The only thing is we should pour in our heart and be capable to, like, sap out, just like squeeze out the beauty of it. Now, so this I had already shown, like Srushti's this conclusion. Okay. Now, with respect to this, as we further move up, there is something more that we can just get a brief idea associated with this. So I'm asking that should we put dialogues in conclusion or will it be added before conclusion? Oh, you can put dialogues just before the, like, ending the last sentence, as I showed it with respect to this person. Like, you can see this. Iska dekho. The topic, like, if you can see this, what is real education? So in what is real education, I have not given the entire essay of Netrajit Nepram. I have just given the first 2 pages and last few pages. That's it. I mean, like, last 2 and then first 2, so that you get a brief idea how people create introductions and conclusion. So in this, what is real education, this specific topic, what is he creating, if you reflect upon the same? Okay. Now, what is your homework? Try to read his essay and find his strength and weakness, just briefly. Okay. So that when I'm discussing the component of organization of essay, you are able to make sense out of it. You are able to, like, connect with this. Okay. Can we underline the important lines? Yes, Shweta, I had discussed that in polishing the essay, 2 minutes in polishing. So all important lines can be underlined. That is possible. Now, here, as we all can see, in his conclusion, you can see that if the intricacies of true education, this one, in when he is discussing it, he is quoted the movie, and after that, towards the end, he is written, for a fulfilling life to live to its worth, come drink from the flourishing fountain of true education, where knowledge, enlightenment, prosperity, and enriching virtues galore. Right. This is, I would say, the ultimate level of language which you people would aspire to achieve. Okay. He had power of penmanship in terms of good command over vocabulary. There are a lot of strengths, a lot of weaknesses. You need to reflect upon that, right? So so I hope you are getting an idea, Rashmi, when you are asking that should we, like, put the dialogues in the end. So Sare Jahan Se Acha Hindustan Hamara was kept in the end. This one is like little before the end, whereby he's writing his own reflection. This is his own reflection just before, like, we can see the quotation that he's giving from a movie. Either way it can be done. All right, I hope that's understandable. Yes, everything is interesting. It is the way you are presenting it. Okay, the way you are organizing and presenting it, that is something that is going to make the difference. Yes, he is able to fit in a lot of words in a page because he is able to write 7 to 8 words in a line. That's the reason. Way of thinking is nourishing, day by day. It is, thank you so much, Santosh, that it is like a very like nourishing session, and all of you are able to understand the possibilities. See, the approach is, as I told you, very microscopic. So in microscopic approach, you focus on every single segment. Now, if you recall dimensions of essay, I have been so far been able to validate the component of choosing the topic 3 minutes, idea generation 15 minutes, 18 minutes done, capability to choose a topic. Now you are understanding that for choosing a topic, for like choosing the introduction, conceptualizing the introduction. So when you are tentatively imagining an introduction and only writing keywords, not the entire intro, why will you write it a rough copy and then the fair copy? So when you are only tentatively writing the keywords, first I'll write this, then this segment, then this, then this. So first, like recalling all the types of introduction, then asking yourself which is the most suitable, which one which you can recall. Are you able to recall a quotation, or are you able to recall a conversation or a type of question, whatever it is? But when you reflect which one is the best introduction that you are able to think, reflect and recall, okay, that can take something like 3 to 5 minutes. I hope all of you can understand that, 3 to 5 minutes. And in the segment of like a conclusion, as we were discussing about it, I hope all of you are able to see that this segment of conclusion, these 3 segments which I just hinted to all of you, that when you are thinking of the summary statement, suggestion, and the concluding remark, this can also structuring it, writing the key points can take 3 to 5 minutes, right? So far I have been able to justify something like 21 plus 10, that is almost, I would say, 27 to 31 minutes to all of you so far. Okay, so the micro analysis is still going on. We will head to organization of essay and debatable essays tomorrow. That's my target for tomorrow. All right. So thank you, all of you. Good night and take care. And let's meet again tomorrow. Thanks.